So what changed was me. I was like, I realized through the whole thing, I just had to be like, I can't keep blaming my husband for this.
Hey everyone, it's Tony Will. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this next episode of Women In. I cannot wait for you to meet my next guest. But before you meet her, let me tell you what you're listening to. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women from all walks of life and the people who uplift them. Each episode features incredible voices from my world, sharing stories that spark inspiration, challenge the status quo, and remind us that empowering women empowers everyone. This is a bold, curious, and uncensored space where disruption is welcome, forward thinking is encouraged, and change is the goal. I'm passionate about breaking down barriers, not just for us, but for the next generations. Whether our paths cross professionally or personally, these conversations matter. Let's dive in and celebrate the power of connection, growth, and the people who are shaping our world. And this woman is definitely one of them. Amy Nubson believes that real growth happens when visibility, communication, marketing, operations, and customer experience are aligned. She understands how quickly life and business can unravel because she lived it. After a tragic accident left her with no clients, no money, no support, she rebuilt everything by following her 3 C's: clarity, courage, and confidence, to reconnect with who she is and her purpose. That experience shapes how she supports others today. As the owner of Nufire Collective, she has evolved beyond the traditional marketing firm into a collaborative partnership model, guiding businesses through strategy, storytelling, and problem solving to build sustainable growth with intention and visibility. Today, she is partnering with Christina Vidovich to support women's voices to be seen, heard, and supported with their company, Women Getting Visible. A rock star. Hey, Amy.
Hello. Yes. It's always interesting to listen to your bio and you're like, yes, I've done all that.
I know. And I do this by design because I like for my interviewees or my guests to hear what badasses they are. And so it's by design.
I love it. That's fantastic. I like that design.
So I always start the podcast off and normally the same first question, because I think it's so cool how people come into each other's lives. So how did you and I meet?
We actually met through an interview process, which is such a fun way to meet somebody. I was interviewing you as a speaker for the Women Getting Visible conference. And I'll be honest, I did not expect the quality of women for 65 interviews. I was like, how do I choose who gets up on stage? And it was the people that stuck out for different reasons, but it was really a thread of who's passionate about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And you were one of those shining stars that were like, we need Tony in the room. And it was a different way for me to meet women, was through an interview process of like having to say yes or no to who goes on stage. And I'll be honest, as a people pleaser, that was the hardest thing for me to like, I'm so sorry, but you weren't chosen. You know, like it was heartbreaking. I'm like, I know I have to do it. Yeah. And I wanted to say yes to more. And we were like, nope, but that's not what the conference needed.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm glad we're starting here. And thank you for, highlighting that I was one of the ones selected. And by the way, everyone, there are times where I apply to be a speaker and I'm not selected. So I have been on both sides, and I never take it personally. I just know that that's not my time, and that's okay. And someone else is getting to be on the stage, and good for them. So, but I want to talk about this application process because I haven't done that yet for Empower Her, but I've talked about doing it. And because I've gotten so many people, which is amazing, reach out to me that want to speak. And so I get that because, again, I'm on the other side of it. So talk to me about when you and Christina were deciding, okay, we're going to do an application process. What made you go down that road instead of just saying, hey, I know some of these women, I'll ask these other women I already know or have a relationship with?
Yeah, because that's how Christina did our first conference, was like, who does she know and how do we put them in the room? Or, does somebody know somebody who does this? We really wanted to reach outside our own network. and see who's available, because we were looking for very specific flow of our conference. And we wanted, and what Christina and I did too, is if she knew them, I interviewed them. If I knew them, she interviewed them, because we wanted like an unbiased perspective of who we were putting in the room. And it was really for the intention for the audience to experience, not for like us to showcase, oh my God, we love them and we love to have them in the room. Yes, that was part of it. But really, I think we only knew originally 2 people that we actually put into the conference. So a lot of them, all of you women, we've never met in person or had a conversation outside of this interviewing process. And we love the lineup and how it flowed. And we wouldn't have done that if we would have chosen just people we knew.
Exactly. It's so inspiring to hear this. So let's step back, and if people are like, "This is cool," but what conference are they talking about? So let's talk about the conference and the business that you and Christina started. And Christina, I'm interviewing later this summer for Women In. But let's talk about like the whole thing. Why you ladies started collaborating, why Women Getting Visible, and what the conference is, and then what your dreams are for this platform.
Yeah, so I've always supported businesses and their visions and their voices, right? It's just been always through marketing lens or some other as a business coach lens. But for me, I needed to find my voice because I was always in the background supporting other businesses. I didn't have to show up as Amy. And as I learned how to showcase myself, I wanted to help others because I realized my superpower is actually helping the storytelling part. I love it. Everybody is like, they're in awe, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so uncomfortable. Like how much people love when I tell stories. And I realized it's not a skill set that is you're born with it, or you can, it's a learned skill set. I always thought it was, you had to be born with the charisma of this personality that can tell stories and captivate people. No, anybody can do it. And so when I was talking with Christina and learning to know who she was, we started realizing our missions were on the same path. And I was like, wait, why don't we do this together? And that's how that conversation started of women getting visible, because the idea of being visible is very vulnerable. It's a scary situation if you've never done it before. And we both are very similar energies and we're like always on track. We're like, yes, oh my gosh, let's do this. And so we just joined missions and created Women Getting Visible Conference for women to get opportunities to be on stage. Like Tony, you have been on stage. Some of our speakers have only done it maybe in workshops. Mm-hmm. So we're trying a variety of different skills, a variety of different levels of where they are in their careers of speaking. Because people are like, I need a speaker reel, but I can't get a speaking job because I don't have a speaking reel. But I can't get, like, there's this loop you can't get in. So we wanted opportunities for women to hear a variety of different voices. And that's how the conferences started and how we shape it. And that's why we are so passionate about what we're doing. And we realize it's bigger than us.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about, so we've got the event. This is going to air after I am one of the 10 women, I believe, that are speaking.
Yep.
June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in St. Paul in the Twin Cities. And but you have an event coming up in October. So if a woman's listening to this and they're like, ooh, I'm intrigued, I want to know more. Talk about the event in October, the dates, and in DC, a little bit more about that. And are you... one, obviously, can people sign up to attend? And 2, if they're interested in speaking, are you taking applications for that?
Yeah, so it's October 9th through the 11th in Washington, D.C. And right now the application is closed for speakers because we've had so many from the first one. And a few, we're actually going to be choosing our speakers right after the conference in Minneapolis. So that'll be closed. But But what we love is there's something called Story Sparks. And every conference we're doing, the participants get to have an opportunity to show up and tell their own stories or try on a different story that if you're used to talking on stage, practice a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Try something new. There's an opportunity there to get up on stage and talk if you want, and if you're ready. And so that's also the fun thing about being a participant.
Yeah, story sparks, and that
Stories.
I love this. Okay, and we're going to see this in Minneapolis.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I can't
Yeah.
wait. I'm really, as you know, and the audience, if they've been with me for a while or anyone new, I am very passionate about lifting women up. I mean, look at the name of the podcast. And so when I heard about your conference, and I heard about it, by the way, from Julie Riga, who was at Podfest, and Christina was at Podfest. I was at Podfest. Julie and I ran into each other at the grab and go line for lunch, ended up having lunch together. She said, "You need to connect with Christina." So I connected with her, which led me to you two and to this conference. And I'm like, wow, we are so aligned. And just that story right there about women lifting each other up is the whole basis of this podcast. So immediately we're aligned. I want to talk about in your bio, I want to hear your story about you coming up from the ashes of hell, it sounded like, and what that accident was about. And talk, and you like hearing this story because for you to inspire other women to be able to pull themselves back up out of a really bad place. So take it away and tell us about this journey you've been on.
Yeah. So there was a moment where I just sat in my office and I watched the snow fall for hours. I was captivated how beautiful it was. And I was like, I can't go home. I just can't bring myself to go home. And I mean, it was light and then it was dark by the time I realized how long I'd been staring at the snow. And I realized something had to majorly change. And what was I afraid of? And the idea was my husband had been in the car accident, had been about, at that point, probably 2 years into the accident where he just could not physically be the person I needed him to be in our business because we were business partners. 2 years earlier, I'd gotten a call from the ambulance. He's like, "Oh, your husband's in the ambulance. We're taking him to the hospital. He's okay. Don't worry about it." He never bounced back. He never got out of pain. He's still in pain to this day. But what we didn't understand is the damage to his brain and the double whiplash and the impact that he had. And he could not connect dots anymore. Or he couldn't exchange, like we played board games and he couldn't exchange the money. And he's like, I'm like, this is easy math. And because of that, he couldn't do the work that we had actually sold. And it wasn't my skill set, so I didn't know how to do the work. Therefore, everything started to fall apart. Everything started to crash around me. And I was taught as a farm kid, I grew up on a dairy farm, you don't let other people know the mess that's going on behind things. You just figure it out. And the idea is you keep going. You work harder, you keep moving forward no matter what. So nobody knew the struggle that was going on. Nobody knew that I had lost every single client. Nobody knew that we were in the 3-year lawsuit with our car insurance because we were denied car insurance and we were 3 figures in medical debt within months because we were not getting coverage anywhere. So I'm sitting there going, okay, I have a husband who cannot cope with things that are going on. He's in so much pain, he doesn't move. He was on so many like medications that we were like, he was a numbed shell of a person. I was being his caretaker. I was trying to figure out and navigate a business, and it was all crumbling around me, and nobody knew. To the point where I had one of my favorite stories is a young marketer came up to me and goes, "Oh my God, Amy, I love what you're doing with your business. You're so amazing. Can you be my mentor?" And I went, what the hell are you talking about? Like, my life is shit right now, and I'm barely keeping it afloat. And I said yes to him because I really wanted to be that coach. I wanted to be that mentor to somebody somewhere. And I'd asked for that opportunity to show up for me. And I said, under one condition, neither one of us lied to each other or ourselves. So when he asked me about my finances, I'm like, well, here's my reality. I'm talking to bankruptcy lawyers right now. If our lawsuit does not go through in our favor, there's no way I can get out from underneath this medical debt. No way. So I have to know what my options are. And he was like, what? I had to get outside of my idea of hiding and share with him what was happening. And I go, here's what happened. And here was where I did not support myself, and I did not understand how quickly things can change. And I hadn't put those things in place. Because I was like, oh, money will come in, money will come out. There's always money to be made. So no big deal. It'll always come. And I'm like, when it doesn't, it hurts. And mine crumbled. And so I figured, why not show him how to do this the right way? And price the value that you are, not to overwork, and give everything away that I was really good at supporting everybody else, but not myself. Mm-hmm. And I had to refigure that out, how to support me first, because if I was unstable, everything else was unstable. That was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. So, okay. So your husband is basically medically not able to work. And so where did the story go from there? Because you started Nufire.
Yes.
So, okay. So tell me, after the snowy day and you're like, something's got to change. What changed after that?
What's my role in this? What did I do? How did I bring my services to the table? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't. I built my entire company around my husband's skill set because I felt like he needed that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but I don't even enjoy websites. Like, that's what we built. We built websites back in the day. And as a graphic designer by trade, I loved the pretty side of things, but I was the face. I was the relationship. I was, I've tried coding so many times. I failed it every single time. I'm like, I hate this world of building the website part of things. I can make it look pretty, but the building was his. And so when there was no Avery, there was no business. I'm like, this is a problem. So my clarity, courage, and confidence came out of it because I had to get clear of what my role was. What did I want out of my life? And what was my actions that led me to where I was, and taking ownership of that. Because blaming him wasn't doing me any good. Though it was easy. God, did I want to blame him so bad. I was like, you're the problem. No, we're the problem. How do we fix it?
Yeah.
And our marriage was falling apart. And after 15 years of a great marriage, I was like, what is happening? How do I get this back? To the point where we actually are happier now, today. After 25 years of marriage, we are in a really good spot because I realized we were codependent of each other.
Codependency, what a great topic. I think I maybe have only talked about it once in 200 and I don't know. I just numbered the episodes. This will be 216, I believe. And so explain your definition, what you experience as codependency.
Yeah, for me, codependency was like I couldn't make a decision without his buy-in, without him knowing. We literally made sure that as a unit, we were always coexisting and going together. There was no true independence, like I really want to do this and I'm going to do it. Like it always had, and even when we were going somewhere, we were always making sure the other person was okay, and it's like, I remember one time he went on a guy's trip and he's like, I now understand why you want a girl's trip because it was so nice just being me and I didn't have to worry about you and I didn't have to think about how everything else was going. And that was our entire relationship and our business, was making sure the other person was okay first.
Yeah. What a great definition. Probably the best I've heard. There's a great book, I'm sure you've heard, Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. Is it Melody Beattie? I have to look that up. It's Codependent No More. I don't think I'm giving the right author credit. But I'll look it up. Anyways, this book it's good, but it you kind of walk away a little more confused. And so your definition is so well explained because I often think about codependency as the opposite of being independent. And that's basically what you're describing. Like go be Amy and do your thing, but you can still do it in a partnership, but you don't have to put their opinion or how they would do or where they're at in front of what you're passionate about and wanting to do in your life.
Exactly. Together, it's more of an alignment and giving each other permission to speak up and say, I don't love this anymore. What can I do differently? Right now, we're actually breaking our business apart, and my husband loves to design board games. And I'm like, go do that. I don't want to depend on you to be my everything and anything. Like, I'd rather you be my husband and maybe my creative collaborator. But I don't need you to be everything in my life because I got this. I know who I am and I'm moving forward with this. And he's always willing to jump in and like, I need help. Great. He comes in. I do the same, right? But it's not a dependency. It's I get to do this.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
Yeah, and there is a difference. And I looked it up. It is Melody Beattie. I was right. Okay, so I just want to make sure. Codependent No More. But it is a very helpful book. But I think Amy's description does it really well. It's easier to understand. So let's talk about Nufire. Yeah, what is Nufire? What are you doing? Who are you servicing? And I want to talk about marketing and branding a little bit because you're in a similar situation I'm in, and I want to hear your expertise. So I want to hear what Nufire is, and then when you've got multiple brands you're working with, because you're Nufire and Women Getting Visible, which is a conference that could fall underneath that, or anyway. So you're shaking your head, so you know because I live it too. So take it away.
Yeah, it is so much harder in today's world to explain multiple brands, right? And I struggled with this for a really long time. And I was like, how do I explain what I do? Nufire Collective is a partnership strategist company. So we partner with other people and other companies in a variety of different ways. So I'm a strong believer of collaboration. Collaboration today, to me, is where the future is in the world that we live in. Small businesses need to support other small businesses and work together. It's the same thing of that idea of like a marriage, right? It's not a codependency, it's a collaboration. So what can we do to support each other? And I do it in sometimes like it's a joint venture like me and Christina. Mm-hmm. Like that's a joint venture. It's a legally going to be binding relationship. But there's other collaborations that aren't legally binding. And you're like, for me as a client, I don't see my client as an exchange. It's a collaboration. I'm really invested in my client's business. I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's going on, where the like I had a client just recently go, Amy, we need to slow the marketing down. My team is unhappy with how busy we are trying to onboard new clients. I'm like, okay, we can slow it down. We're not going to quit it. We're going to slow it down, right? But I listened to him and I want his team to be happy. And I'm like, tell me what's going on. What is it? So we're working on operations and systems now a little bit more instead of the marketing to help that flow. So as a growth strategist, that allows me to go into different areas of the business versus just the marketing. Because if I was just marketing, I would be like, crap, now what do I do? How do I help them? If we're slowing things down, what does that mean for me? It's not about me. It's about them. Mm-hmm. And how can I help their flow so that when they're ready, they can pick back up and start doing onboarding again, but in a way that doesn't stress them out.
So I'm curious because as someone that works in an industry where we pull multiple marketing levers, And I'll list off the litany. So for anyone who's not aware, I am the GM of a men's professional hockey team here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So it's professional sports and entertainment. And so we're doing billboards, we do TV, we do radio, we have digital, we have social media, paid and organic. Sometimes we have a podcast going, depending on what my PR and broadcaster is doing. Sometimes we don't. So those are some of the high level. And then we have lots of social media, viral stuff. Anyways, so there's a lot happening there. So talk about the visibility tools, like with this client who's like saying, hey, I got too much business. What levers are you helping your clients pull? Is it all those? Is it email blasts too? I forgot about that one because we do that too. So what levers are you helping your clients pull? And is it one or multiple?
It really depends on what the client's needs are and the audience that they're going with. So because I've been in business, I've been in marketing for almost, over 25 years now. I've gone from everything that it started with, like to the traditional to the now today. Like I have a print background. I have, relationships with the media people. I've learned a lot about that. Not that I've placed those, have I ever done those? No, but I know about them enough to be like, okay, who do we talk to? And how do we get this right? How do we get the files correct to be on a billboard? Those kind of things. That's a thing.
It is. You get it.
It's interesting. Yes. And when people that are going into graphic design now have no concept of what that means to put a graphic on a billboard, it's different. Or to put it on a wrap of a car. Like you have to have different files and different knowledges that you don't, a lot of new people have never been trained, have no idea. And so I have all the traditional training with the new thinking. And so I look at a company and go, okay, one person hired me on and she's like, okay, so I want you to go out and market and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, as I researched her company and looked at everything, I go, you don't have a marketing problem. You have a retention problem. We need to fix the retention first. Then we'll go back and market you. Because if I market you, you spend all this money, get it in, and then you'll lose it all again. So you're losing it twice, time and money.
Yeah.
Why do that? Right? That just seems silly to me. And I will tell people, I'm like, don't spend money on marketing here. You will not get a return on investment.
Yeah. So
this doesn't make sense.
Well, I love that. I love this. It's counterintuitive, but it's going back to what you're talking about, collaboration. Because you could be like, yep, and collect your check, and they feel like, because marketing's really hard to measure an ROI on. So you could blame it on analytics and buyer patterns and demographics and all that stuff. So
or the time of year, whatever you want to blame it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with this client, how were you helping them not have so much burn off, and how were you doing with the retention? What was the strategy?
Yeah, so we looked at where did the system start breaking apart, and what we had to start looking at is the services she offered, and she will admit this too, is there's a certain point where she gets bored with the process of the service she was offering, and it just was a real struggle for her to finish, and it was the follow through, is the little pieces, the tiny details, but the big thinking she was good at. And we had a real look at her service offering and going, wait a minute, if this is all tiny detailed information that you're offering, you're going to sabotage it. If this is what your skill set isn't, or we have to find the right person to come in and be the person that manages all the tiny little details. And if we don't, which one are we going with? And so then once we made that decision of like, where is she really good at and what services is she going to excel at, then we rewrote her services to be more aligned with who she is and how she operates and what she's going to actually provide. Because when we're small businesses, we want to provide everything. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Oh my God, I was a yes girl. So I totally get this. Yeah, I can do that. I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off or even what to do, right? I have not a clue. I'll figure it out. Those are sabotages. right? That we invited into our lives. And it's looking at what we're really, really good at. And let's create services around that. Let's shine and make that vulnerability and then also the visibility around that. Because that's when people are going to start to be attracted to us in a good way. And they're like, oh my God, look at an amazing client that is. But when we put the services that we're not good at and we actually don't want to really sell, we start grabbing, the attraction of somebody that isn't a good client for us or a good fit.
Yeah,
Because we put that out there.
have you run it? Yeah, have you put that out there? Have you run into this
Oh gosh,
before?
yeah.
Okay, and what have you done in that circumstance where you just know you're in the middle of a collaboration or working with a client and it's not working? What have you done?
Yeah. So when I do business coaching, I know the favorite thing people do is like, oh, lock them in a contract, right? Get them for 6 months. I do 6 weeks because I'm like, even when I do marketing, I go, we're going to do a trial because we need to understand and make sure that this is a good fit for both of us. And if it's not at this ending point, we can both part ways. And I mean it too. It's like
Right.
I'm evaluating them as much as they're evaluating me. And I need to understand that I can have a value here. And if I can't, there is no reason for me to stay on. I will pass you on to somebody else because it'll turn out terrible.
Yeah.
And I've done
Oh
it
yeah.
before where I'm like, no, I can make it work. Oh, no, I can't.
So that strategy, the 6 week trial run strategy, came from before you did that, and would you do a minimum of 6 months or something along those lines, and then like just suffer through it?
Exactly. Like there
Yeah.
might be longer ones for like social media. I'll have longer ones because you take so long to build the understanding and then to start building assets. So once we start building assets, it's 3 months, right? Because I need to understand the company, build the assets, and then it's an evaluation going, what do you think? Did you like our process? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you had a different understanding of how we would work together. Because I partner with my clients. So that means involvement with me. And if I have clients that are like, oh, I just thought you just do it. And I didn't have to be a part of the conversation. And I'm like, nope. I
Well,
want you part of that conversation.
well, and I
You
get
need to
that
tell me
because
what's going on.
yeah, because you're not gonna. They all have different businesses. It's not like you're just working with pet shop owners or coffee shops, or you're working with people across multiple different businesses, correct?
Correct. And each one, even if they were all pet stores, what's your focus? Are you a fish specialist? Are you do you love selling like dog food and organic, holistic, pet food? There's always something unique about every single business. And that's what I like to showcase. But I can't showcase that if I'm just making it up. And then I've had people do that where the people are like, I just bought this service. I'm like, do you know you're putting out this information? What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I got that email and I know that's not you. When you
Yeah.
are blind to your marketing, might be marketing something you have no clue or something completely against what you stand for. And that's why I have a problem with blanket marketing because usually you agree with maybe 60% of it. And then there's
Yeah.
that 40% you're like, oh my God, what went out?
Well, and it's funny because entrepreneurs, at least this entrepreneur, in my other side of my life, I get it. The details are so like hard. Like I just do not like spending time in that space, and I have a SEO guy working on my website because my website has just expanded tremendously since I launched my business 5 years ago. Great problem to have, but I needed SEO. I needed, and anyone's like, what's SEO? Search engine optimization. And he's like, so he sends me this audit back, which is like, I can't remember how many pages, like 80 pages. They're going to do the majority of the work, but he needs me to read through and edit everything. And I'm like, and I did it, but I got to tell you, Amy, it is not where
Yeah.
I shine because I'm like, and I'm the brand, which is a whole other thing that I didn't initially want to set out to do, but it's hard. And we entrepreneurs tend not to like to be in those type of details.
They really, really don't. And when I started doing, I did an assessment called the 6 Working Geniuses. And it was so interesting because when I fell into it, it kind of made clear of like what I was good at, what I wasn't. And I'm really good in the middle, which makes total sense. Like if I love also working with people that have teams too, because what I get to do then is I'm the in between from the owner's vision and the big concept to the team who needs the details. And then usually there's a disconnect there from big vision to the details. And there's this void. I love filling the void.
Yeah.
I can see it and get them like, ooh, okay, that's what they're trying to say. And then I funnel it down to the team. Because a lot of times the teams are like, thank you, but I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know how to break it apart and process this and put it out there. And that's a lot of times why like virtual assistants don't work for people, is because they haven't figured out how to break it down into a manageable task or focus for the VA to do something with it.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I want to switch gears.
Yes.
We talked about the title of the podcast being Women In, but I want to hear, we're going to talk about women in particular in a few different spots here. But first, I want to hear about the women who have helped you become the woman that sits before me today.
Yeah, I got asked that the other day and I thought about it. They're like, oh, so you love helping women? I'm like, yeah, I do. So you must have amazing women in your life. And I'm like, actually, no, not at all. you know, and I'm going, I actually avoided the space for a really long time because I always felt like it was such a competition and there was such pettiness inside the women world. Even my best friends were men for a very long time. And I realized now it was the type of woman I was choosing, that were more maybe, flashy or whatever it was. And so I didn't have a lot of great support growing up or even like into my early careers. I actually preferred working with men in my beginning of my career because I thought it was easier.
Same. I was,
Yep.
our stories, carbon copies. Yep.
Yep. And so I thought, and then one of my coach, is a fireman out of Wisconsin, and he was like, Amy, you should really work with women. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm just like, no, I won't do it. And he's like, no, seriously, you would be a really big asset, and I think you would love that space. And I'm like, I don't want to go there. No. And then when I met Christina, that's when everything shifted. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to go here. I'm ready to fully engage in this because the women in my, I'd say 40s on have been amazing. And I started seeing the difference of who I was attracting, who I was being, and what did I want. And my joy actually became with women's voices and helping them see that it doesn't matter your story. It matters how you tell it and what you see as value. And our everyday lives are also value. And I remember talking to one woman and I was heartbroken. She's like, I'm nobody special. And I'm like, well, tell me what you do. And she's like, well, I help with a nonprofit that helps with special needs. And I have 3 nonprofit or special needs children at home. And I'm a single mom. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't think you are like this kick-ass woman? I think you are amazing. I could never do that. Mm-hmm. You are phenomenal. And she started crying. She's like, I never thought of it that way. I just did it because I had to. And I'm like, not everybody could do this.
Yeah.
So our everyday lives, we start to discredit. We start to push it down and go, it's no big deal. It is. And I loved seeing that shine, and that when I can tell somebody's story back to them and they hear their own story and how amazing it is, that meant everything to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. What you're saying about there weren't women in, and I had some women in my life, we all do, but it's when I think about how they helped me get here today, it was all men. And so my story was very similar, and that's what spurred this podcast. So it was women in sports originally where I was going to start it, but then I kicked out the sports. I added a 3 dots. So the women who came on here could fill in the dots themselves. And I've met on the podcast too, because I'm all about inclusivity, and men have important women in their lives, and so on. So how would you fill in those dots for you, Amy? Women in what?
Ooh. Do I have to pick one word?
No, no, you can pick a phrase, a sentence, I don't, whatever. Women in, yeah, you fill it in.
I kind of just feel like it's like women in the world, it's the idea that we are everything and nothing and all of it. And, like this idea that women are a part of everything, and there shouldn't be a divide. And I agree, like men are amazing, and there's a reason we have them in the world, right? Like we go together.
We do.
It's just that right now we're showcasing the women's stories because they need a platform to be heard. And so the women in the world, the more I talk to women in Hong Kong, or, I remember talking to somebody in India or Pakistan. Like I remember the Pakistan conversation, like, can you tell me what it's like to be a female in Pakistan? I only know what I see on TV. And she's like, oh, let me tell you. And I was like, oh, this is so amazing. Because I get to learn through her story, and not from the news, from a skewed point of view, from her point of view. She's one of many. And the more many you get to bring into your life, the more worldly you become.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let me ask you a fun question. Not that these aren't fun, but let's switch gears. Okay, so travel. I travel quite a bit for work, and I'm sure you've traveled a bit or a lot. Now, there are two types of people, I believe, with airline travel. Those that will only pack a carry-on, and those who check bags. Which one are you?
Ooh, if I had a preference, it'd only be a check bag, but there are moments in my life that's just not possible.
Okay. So
yes, because I love I love when I travel for 3 months long, 3 to 4 months long. So I go for long periods of time, which means one luggage is just equipment.
Got it. Okay. I see now what you're saying. You prefer check because that means you're going away for a long trip. What's your longest trip you've done?
So we did 4 months in the winter when my husband was really struggling with pain. Cold is a hard thing being from Minnesota. So we would go south for his pain tolerance.
Okay.
And we became nomadic entrepreneurs and just worked wherever it was warm. But our favorite trip was when we spent 3 months in Europe. And we went to like 3 or 4 different countries while we were there. And we were exploring medical treatments, actually, was what we were doing. And looking at different ways of us being so we could find a really great place for us to land. And I loved every minute of it. It took us out of our comfort zone. It wasn't like, oh, it's only 10 days, no big deal, we'll go back. And I'm like, no, we have 3 months here. You got to figure it out. You have to get comfortable with this uncomfortableness all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you learn so much about cultures, and I love this answer. I didn't expect it, and I didn't know what to expect, but I've learned something new. A follow-up question, and then I've got one more. So 2 questions, and we'll wrap it up. But the first question, is your husband still in a lot of pain, or have you found solutions for him so he can live a more fulfilled life that's pain-free?
Yeah, so one of the things we found out about 3 or 4 years into the accident, be very careful of what people prescribe you as medication. And there was so many things that were changing and going, and I couldn't keep it all straight. And I'm not good medical. He ran out of medicine when we were traveling from one of the southern states. We couldn't get the refilled on the time we were actually driving back home. And he started laughing. And I was like, I just realized when he laughed, I'm like, I haven't heard you laugh in 3 years. He's a very funny guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's different? He's like, well, what do you mean? I go, you just started laughing and joking. What's going on? He goes, well, I ran out of this medicine that I use for sleeping. It was an antipsychotic that they had prescribed to him for sleeping, which made him numb, vacant. And I'm like, you will never go back on that medication. You will find a different solution. because you need to become who you are and as a person back. And that was our he never really got out of pain, but finding his way back to who he was the journey, getting beyond the pain. And to the point where he actually just had 3 medical surgeries in the last 6 weeks to reduce some of the pain that he's been researching and trying to get approval for years to get these. And then they all happened at once. So we're like, I guess this is what the world gave us. But we did find treatments in Europe that is not here in the US that got him out of pain. And so it's unfortunate that we don't have all the resources here that is effective. But the idea is you have to keep being your own advocate, no matter if it's your business, if it's your personal life, if it's your marriage, or if it's your health. You are your own advocate, and you're the one that is responsible for taking the charge of what you need to find or do. And stop apologizing it to somebody else because it doesn't fit their lifestyle or their idea of what life should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm so glad that we stumbled into this part of the conversation, because it is such great wisdom from someone who lived it. And now I understand why you want to check a bag. I think I'm allergic to checking a bag, and I'm crazy when it comes. I'm like, I will only pack a carry-on. And when I was in Europe for 2 weeks, it was a carry-on. I'm like, I'll just do laundry. And it's all about control. It's silly. So,
well, and it's honestly too, it's like you think about what your needs are and what matters. And for us, we do have big backpacks because you've been to Europe, if you're on those cobblestones and you're pulling a bag, because that's our laptops and stuff were in a pull bag, it is like such a pain in the butt. Oh my God, you're like, I want to throw the bag into the river right now. Like so bad.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy, this was such a great conversation, and I can't wait to meet you in person here in a couple of weeks at Women Getting Visible conference. So tell everyone, if they want to connect with you, learn more about the conference, learn more about Nufire Collective, where can they do that?
Yeah, so for me, it's, go to my website, Nufire Collective. It's NU, like my last name, Fire, nufirecollective.com. Otherwise, Women Getting Visible. We are in the process of, we'll be over the summer making that website. But just like every business that starts, you start it and then you have to reevaluate it. And that's what we're in the process of doing. But that's where all of our information for our conferences and our workshops, and in the future will be retreats. And we're hoping for European retreats. So it's not just here in the US. Very cool. So, because we really believe that you should sit with visibility and get comfortable, go out and have fun, come back, try it again. There's a process to visibility. And we're going to be building all of that out in the next couple of years. So womengettingvisible.com is where you'd find all that information.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all the success and just the what you're building and how you're building it. And it's such an honor to be part of your world now. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me come on. It's been wonderful talking to you and your listeners, because our life is messy, but why not show it? Because there's so much wisdom in it.
There is. I mean, yes, amen to that. Well, I am not hard to find. If you guys want to connect with me, the hockey side of my life is at kwings.com. And then everything else I'm working on, including the big project, is Rebellious Success. My book is available for pre-order now and will be in your mailbox or on bookshelves on August 11th. That can all be found at tonywill.com. And until next time.